sound. And when I fall, you tied a rope to me. You're blessing me every day. I was down with an illusion, like a sparrow with broken wings. But now I shine with your reflection on me. I'm getting back up on my feet. That you showed up was written in my palm. You are a statement, explode like a bomb. I get to push myself to victory. You make me winner. You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win in every way. You showed me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win in every way. You showed me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. Yes, I'm the winner, yeah. 'Cause I'm the winner, yes. Am I awake or am I dreaming? So far gone, I won't look back. And when I move, there ain't no stopping me. You're pushing me up to the top. I saw the clouds looking angry, but then the sky reached my mind. And when I space out, I see the possibilities unfolding the way that I want. That you showed up was written in my palm. You are a statement, explode like a bomb. I get to push myself to victory. You make me winner. You cut me loose and set me free. You cut me loose. You make me win in every way. Win in every You show me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win in every way. You show me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. Yes, I'm the winner, yeah. 'Cause I'm the winner, yes. 'Cause I'm the winner, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, yes, I'm the winner, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. And I'm very sorry if the audio is not fabulous today, but I'm at Jackie's. We are doing a live podcast batching day, and I just did not have time to plug in my microphone. If you're brand new to the Sparkle World, we do this once every 6 weeks. We do a podcast batching day. We did squeeze in an extra one towards the end of the year, but this is the last podcast batching day for 2023. So I thought it was a really great opportunity for me to begin podcast batching day by sharing the journey of Straight Talk with Sally, all the ups and the downs and the starts and the restarts and the fails along the way, to having now a thriving podcast. So if you're watching out there on the live, let me know, do you have your own podcast, or are you considering starting your own podcast? So let me know in the chat below. And I also want to know, if you're brand new to the Sparkle World, make sure that you give us a follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can make sure you don't miss out on any of our live broadcasts, any of our podcast batching days as well. So today, before we get stuck into the content, we have a few cool things lined up for you. So we're going to just begin with me having a really general sort of relaxed chit chat with you about, what have been some of my favorite conversations on the podcast. And then we have Anna Xavier joining us, who is a podcast content queen. So you want to join us for her episode where we're going to be discussing how to maximize your podcast content. And then we are bringing in the amazing Paul Kim, who is a SEO guru, and he's going to show you how you can use SEO to attract and to generate leads using SEO. So it's a great lineup of guests today, but you're beginning with me. Now, if you really love being part of Podcast Batching Day, Dr. Sparkle can hook you up with reminders on the day. So you need to go to go.freedomfunnelacademy.com/STWS, which stands for Straight Talk with Sally. Or if you're watching on the live, you can see that there's a QR code here for you to click on as well. And the awesome little Dr. Sparkle over here dancing, she will hook you up with reminders specifically for Straight Talk with Sally. Now, we do run loads of other events, so make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't yet done so. So look forward to watching, because we get little pop-ups here as well when people subscribe to the channel. So music starts playing. But we also have lots of other live training and events free to the public, and they're over on our calendar, where you'll find sparkleclassacademy.com/calendar. So for those who don't yet know me, I'm Sally Sparks Cousins. I'm the founder of the Sparkle Class Academy, the creator of the Freedom Funnel Formula, and I love to take people's crazy and turn it into an offer, and I geek out on all the automation and also the sexy, sexy numbers. And the Sparkle world is surrounded by a team of experts that help people in loads and loads of different things. But you're here today because it is Podcast Batching Day, and the amazing Ma has done a lot of work lining up our guests. We did have Katie from Ecamm locked in for today, but she's messaged and she's so super sick. So that gave us the opportunity to be able to actually do a reflection episode with you today. So today we want to really look back at Straight Talk with Sally. It's been going for a little while, but it's only become successful since we got consistent. So the journey began way back in 2018. In 2018, it was actually my birthday, the 25th of November, 2018, and I decided I'm going to start a podcast. So a few days before, I did some research and I realized that I needed to submit an episode to get it approved into, like back then, I believe it was called iTunes. I think it's just Apple Podcasts now. So we officially launched on the 25th of November, 2018, and I had all these big, bright, beautiful ideas around having a podcast, like some of my amazing mentors like Pat Flynn, Amy Porterfield, Chalene Johnson. So I'm like, I got to, follow, model success, do what Chalene is doing, do what Amy's doing, and Pat Flynn and so many others, James Wedmore. So I began, and I got 7 episodes in. Woo, yay me. I believe they were weekly. We did one a week for 7 weeks. It was a pretty good run. And then life got in the way, and just, I had maybe a small team by the time it was 2018, because 2017 I went all in full time. I had a couple of helpers, but I was still wearing all the hats. Then in November, again, 2019, I gave it another crack, right? Well, I wouldn't call it a great crack, because I did 2 episodes. So I did 2 episodes and then nothing until February 2021. So we skipped over 2020 altogether. And in February 2021, I'm like, yes, I'm going to do it this time. We're going to dial in and do podcasting. So I had a girl, I believe she started with me then, and she started helping me do podcasts. And then we went to 11 episodes. Woo! Third attempt, 11 episodes. Yay. And so February 2021 went off pretty well. We did 11 episodes, and then we got sidetracked, a little busy with other things. And then July of 2021, we attempted to do it again. And we got 8 episodes in that time. And again, big break. And what happened is I lost a few staff as well around about that time, and everything was like I literally had to put on all the hats again. So things from checking emails, checking inboxes, like managing things, because we lost 3 staff in the matter of about 3 weeks. And here's the deal, we only had maybe about 6 staff at the time. So literally half my team, I lost them within a month. Well, of course, something's got to give. And of course, it was the podcast, because it's a long-term game. If you are doing a podcast, it isn't for the quick win. It isn't for the notoriety at the beginning, right? It is for the longevity, the long-term nurture of your show or of your following, right? So people who meet you through a funnel may want to go binge your content, and then that's where you start to build up that long-term nurture, the know, like, and trust factor. People start to have you falling asleep in their ears. So after that, we actually rehired 2 of the girls in the early 2022. So this year, yes, it is 2022, just remembering. So we rehired 2 of the girls, and one of them was the podcast manager. And she had gone off in the meantime, and from the skill set that we had taught her inside of working with the Sparkle Class Academy, she had gone and gotten hired by another company, and then she continued to practice those skills around podcasting. And I'm like, let's see if she wants to come back. So I reached out to her, and she decided, yeah, she would love to come back part-time and continue to help with the podcast. And she told me that she had really started to fall in love with editing, podcasting, and, scheduling out the content. And it all began with her actually creating the systems that I had started, and then she continued to improve upon those systems and manage them. So we started in March 2022, and from that date to today, this year, we have dropped, ready, drum roll, I don't have my sound effects, 92 episodes this year. So when we began, we were doing 1 episode a week. And then we started the interviewing again, back, I think it was in 2021, I did a few live interviews for Straight Talk with Sally, along with the content. And if you followed me for any length of time, I went live for 365 days, way back in, I believe it was 2017, maybe. I've forgotten the year. So you can imagine, from going live sometimes multiple times a day over 365 days, we have some content. So what we did was we began by going through the list of all the videos and just pulling out pieces of content and just repurposing them into weekly episodes. Then, of course, we do our weekly mentoring with Sally session that happens every Tuesday, sometimes on, except for a launch week. But every Tuesday we do mentoring with Sally, or Monday, if you're in the past. And that content would always get turned into an episode. So then we started to realize, hey, we've got these multiple places that we have content. We have the longer episode that we do each week, and sometimes that mentoring with Sally session can actually be broken up into 2 or 3 different podcast lessons, because I can go on tangents. I can definitely go on tangents sometimes if a certain question is asked. I'll just start talking about it. So we had that one, and then we realized, hey, there's still all of that other content out there. So we decided to make quick tip ones as well during the week. And then with the amount of guests that we had lined up through the year, we were able to do a guest once a week. So we went from weekly episodes to actually putting out 3 episodes a week, and we've been very consistent. Now, I don't actually remember what day each of the Ma might be able to enlighten me, but I'm not sure what day the long episode, the quick tip episode, and the interview episode drops, but it is consistently 3 times a week. And that's allowed us in total, from all of the starts and stops and tries and all the things, we have over 130 episodes now on the podcast. But I'm so super proud of not just Ma, but the rest of the team that have supported with the content. Rita's come on as well, who looks after Dr. Sparkle, which allows reminders to go out so we can get more eyeballs on the live broadcast, which you're on right now. Hi, everyone out there on the live. So that's a little bit of the journey of the podcast, of us taking it from that idea through to attempting, reattempting, refining. And the thing that made things even better was at the beginning of this year. You see, I've been using a piece of software called Ecamm. Well, I wouldn't say using. I paid for an annual subscription to Ecamm, and it sat in my arsenal suite of tools for almost 12 months. I didn't really know how to use it well, so I just put it in the too hard basket, and I just went back to the regular live streaming. But every year I choose one thing that I want to learn and go all in on. Now, to be totally honest, I could have done better, but my one thing this year was Ecamm. I really wanted to get a little bit more fancy. Look at all the special things. So I wanted to get a little bit more fancy, and I have gotten to the point with Ecamm that I'm fairly confident. There are still things I would love to just be able to know, like I do with automation and other things, but I think it looks pretty good on the live stream. So if you're listening to this in bed right now with your headphones in, you need to head to our YouTube channel to understand what I'm actually doing in Ecamm. So Ecamm gave me the opportunity to, one, learn how to make my presentations look so much better on the live stream. And look, guys, for years it was me and my phone, right? That was it. It was me and my phone, or like right now, it's just me and my camera on my computer because I'm laptop lifestyling right now up in Sydney. I do have a lapel mic, which I forgot to plug in before this live stream. So I feel bad for Mark because the sound quality won't be as good. But I promise for the live interviews that are coming for the rest of the day, I will plug in the lapel mic, okay? I promise. So Ecamm's allowed me to then, this is the power of podcasting. And this is where I really want to transition to building relationships. Not only does the podcast allow us to continuously nurture our clients, continuously be able to show up on a regular basis on the live stream and also across all the other social media platforms, because this right now is streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook group, Facebook page, Facebook profile, YouTube. So it's all of those places at once on the live stream, and it will be repurposed into audiograms and, of course, Straight Talk with Sally, the podcast. So that is the one thing, the nurture, the repurposing of the content. But the other has been the amazing relationships that I've been able to build through interviewing people. You see, I didn't actually realize I was any good at interviewing until we had a guest on whose name is Doc Rock, and he's really good at interviewing. He also used to be on radio, DJ, and he has that kind of voice. And he told me, wow, you've got really good interview skills. And I just thought they were conversations, listening more than I speak, taking notes while they talk, and getting curious about my guests. And I think that's what I've really enjoyed, is the one, being really curious about my guest, showing up and just like we have 2 or 3 dot points around the conversation that we want to have with our guests. But because I'm listening more than I'm speaking and I'm not thinking about what am I going to say next, I have my student hat on. I want to learn from our guests. So the conversations can sometimes go off on all sorts of tangents. Now, here's the thing. Let me share a little story with you. Who has got a vision board? Raise your hand or shoot me a DM. Let me know if you've got a vision board, and hang into the end. Actually, I have a really exciting announcement to make around vision, which I literally came up with the idea to do this yesterday, and I'm going to share it with you today. So hang in for that one. But who has a vision board? You see, I had a vision board way back in, I believe, 2015, when I started getting more serious about being an entrepreneur. And then in 2017, I went all in, full time. I'm like, just give me 5 years, husband. Let me see what I can do with this craziness in my head. And on my vision board, I created a book cover. And the book cover back then, because I was one of the first people to live stream, was how to go live with confidence. But what I also had on the front of this book cover that I was going to write, which never did, I had faces and names of all the people that I want to eventually either work with, sit down and have a coffee with, like the people I look up to. And a few people on that book cover have now been on Straight Talk with Sally. So when I first started deciding that I wanted to interview people, the first round of people that I reached out to were people that I already knew, people that I worked alongside of, or people who were in a similar niche as me, so we could have a good conversation around sales and marketing. So I had Lindsay Ardmore come on a few times because she's also a Keep certified partner, just like myself, and we just got on so well, just like a house on fire. It was so awesome, the conversations I had with her. And we spoke to and brought people on that I already knew, or people who were in my community. So it was really close to home, the circle of people that I brought on in the early stages. And this was back before we did the, 2022 92 episodes. This was back before then. And then I started to tap out of my people that I knew that I wanted to bring on. So I just randomly post in Facebook groups. And if you post in a Facebook group, you'll be surprised how many people will raise their hand and say that they will talk on your podcast. So we got a few people, some good, some not so good. Just saying, there was a few there that some of them we didn't actually, they may be still on the live stream, but we didn't publish to the podcast. Because as well as being, I guess, a good interviewer, you also have to be a good interviewee if you want to really grow or go on other people's podcasts. So some of them was like trying to get blood from a stone to get them to, continue an open dialogue. They would be really short and they wouldn't even give me enough information to ask a follow-up question. So we played around with that for a little while. And then over that time, I was growing my influence within my business. And one of the women on my book cover was Amy Porterfield. And I remember when she said yes to coming on the podcast, I was like, oh my God, I've made it. I finally felt like, okay, now I've made it in the podcasting scene because Amy Porterfield said yes. I've also interviewed the amazing Brock Johnson because I get to work along Shalene Johnson now, who was another person on my book cover that I really, really wanted to be able to work with. One lady who has not yet noticed me is Valerie Burton. She will eventually. I was a speaker that literally, when I went to her event, it shook me from the inside out. Like I bawled, like ugly cried so bad. That was a transformational live keynote. And one day I will have Valerie Burton on my podcast. So once I got, a one or two well-known industry experts within my industry, it became a little easier to approach people. And also because the software that I use, I support the companies that run the software. So I'm running training on the software all the time. So I then got invited by Kajabi to go and be a guest on their podcast that they have. It's a live interview. And that is when I met the amazing Megan herself. Wow, that was was the longest podcast interview. I was the interviewee and she was the interviewer. And I believe we spoke for 3.5 hours, if I am not mistaken. And we went off on all sorts of tangents, but we were able to retain the audience the whole time. There was hardly any drop off on the audience tuning into the live recording of the podcast. So when I met Megan, we then started chatting in the DMs backwards and forwards, and we were like, we need to find a way to work together. And now Megan is our messaging expert, and also she helps people with their social media, like how to do reels and stories, as well inside of the Sparkle Class Academy. So that interview, that one ended up turning into a staff member, right? And then she has now been a guest on Straight Talk with Sally, and we've realized through that we do really go off on some tangents. Through the one when Megan was interviewing me, that one, she ended up having to go off to the toilet, and I just kind of had to hold the stage while she was off on the toilet. But then we've discussed coming in 2023, I think, to add to our, ongoing regular content, that we need to have on Straight Talk with Sally, maybe a regular monthly episode called Tangents with Sally and Megan, and the two of us just come on. We have a topic to begin with, and we might just go off into all kinds of crazy. So keep an ear out, because it's something that we've been speaking about for a while now, about tangents with Megan and Sally. And Megan also does run a few of her own podcasts for a variety of things, like helping teenagers with mental health and things like that. But yes, great episode. And from that, we built an amazing friendship. And then eventually I went on to hire her. So Amy Porterfield, right? I've made it on the podcasting scene, because her podcasters have been around for so long, and just to get her to say yes. Megan, of course, after I was using Ecamm for a while, Ecamm, and if you're not doing it this year, you should be doing Vlogmas, okay? Ecamm runs a Ecamm Vlogmas, but Vlogmas is a YouTube holiday where in the lead up to Christmas, it's like an advent calendar, but content creators go live every day in the lead up to Christmas. So you can do the whole 25 days up to Christmas, or you can do like the 12 days of Christmas for Vlogmas. And it's really just teaching something. I would recommend picking a topic to teach around Vlogmas. So I decided to use my Ecamm skills and then started to do Vlogmas. And I caught the attention of Ecamm, because I was teaching Canva and how to use Canva in Ecamm, and they didn't really have a lot of people teaching how to use Canva and integrate that into Ecamm. So over the years, because 2022 has been the year of Ecamm, I have built up relationships with the people inside of Ecamm: Doc Rock, Anna and Fulgence, Katie. So then what happened was, and this has really allowed us to have some fabulous guests in the recent months, was I was invited to be a speaker at Ecamm's virtual event that they do. And it's called Leap into Podcasting. And it's a regular event that they have on all the time, every year. And I was like, wow, yeah, cool, let me come. And I got to teach Canva and also be a Women in Podcast panelist guest. From that, I have then lined up lots and lots of other guests through actually participating in an online event. So I reached out to all the speakers that I really enjoyed the content around. And one of them in particular I want to bring up is Stephanie Liu. Now, Stephanie Liu, I saw a conference with her, I can't remember how long ago, but she spoke about 92 pieces of content with one video. And I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. I would love to have this woman on my podcast. Now, I reached out to her. First, I reached out to her and I got no response. Then I made friends with Doc Rock and I saw that they had known each other. So I said, Doc, could you please help give me a warm introduction to Stephanie? See what networking does? It allows you to kind of go, 2, 3, 4 levels deep into the connections that you've made. He did us a warm-up connection, and then I replied, and then I put my podcast manager to follow up with her, and we were backwards and forwards trying to lock in. And honestly, Ma, if you're listening, do you know how long it took to finally lock Stephanie in? And we only just finished, like our last batching day, we had Stephanie on. We didn't talk about the full 92 pieces of content, but what came out of that was, well, one, persistence. You've got to keep asking, right? People are busy. And she even apologized to say, your poor Ma, how many times she's messaged to try and get her on the podcast, how many times that, she's had to cancel. And then at the end of that, we had a conversation, and she's actually going to become an expert inside of the Sparkle Class Academy to teach a few different things. So for the Sparkle Class Academy, the Freedom Funnel clients, keep your ear out, because next year we're bringing an expert a month into the community to focus on one big thing for you to learn all month. So Stephanie will probably be teaching, it's not Discord, it's it starts with D. Is my team listening? You can totally, but it's the editing software, Descript. I believe she's going to come in and teach us all the ins and outs of Descript and how to really utilize that. So that's for our clients. So now I'm able to make these connections. We also have Doc Rock, who's going to be coming in and doing a month of Ecamm with us as well. Thank you, Ma. Yes, Descript. And so we also, through the podcast, I've been able to make these amazing connections with people, and now they're becoming experts inside the community, not just here out in the free part of the Sparkle world, but inside there. Now, some other people I wanted to mention being on the Ecamm, Anna and Fulgence. Oh my goodness, Anna's laugh is seriously infectious. And I think some of the tangents and conversations we went off on, even though we were talking about co-host or no co-host was the topic, poor Fulgence, we were off on entrepreneurial crazy woman talk. And I'm sure he was sitting there a few times thinking to himself, where did this conversation even come from? But I had so much fun with Anna and Fulgence. Now, there is such a huge list of people. Another one, and this is again through connections, because I knew Megan, and she did an interview with a woman who has a VA agency specifically around Kajabi, Louise Sandoval. She had interviewed her, and I'm like, she's really cool. I would love to interview her. And so I got a warm connection through Megan to Louise, and again, we spoke about her zone of genius, which is delegating. And the episode is called Delegate or Die. And with that, we've built a relationship, and, there are some business opportunity coming with Louise. So, I'm all about business models, pulling them apart, investing in other businesses. We've got a few, this All Crazy on the back of the wall here is actually a new business venture we're looking at for 2023. But, I can't even list the amount of people. I should have seriously gone through this morning and written down all of the guests. But those are some of the highlights, but not only the highlights of the guests, the relationships that built upon those interviews. Even bringing in people like our staff, like Jackie. We did a great mindset session around the science behind manifesting. Now, that session was so powerful. The amount of people that have come to me and said that they really enjoyed that episode. And it's a little off, the sales and marketing tangent, but manifestation and mindset is 80% of running a business. So bringing in people on all of those different sorts. Oh, and I just remembered another way I got guests was, who remembers the year, and this was COVID or just before COVID, the year of Clubhouse. Oh yeah, Clubhouse. The sleepless nights, the actually going 3 days with no sleep, talking and closing a deal at 3 a.m. on my phone, standing in a room in my house. Bang, walked into a wall, didn't even know where I was in my own house. But that platform also allowed me to book some awesome guests for the podcast, like Heather Havenwood, who is the sexy boss herself. And there's a whole list of people that we got on the podcast via Clubhouse as well. So if you're thinking about starting your own podcast, here's some hot tips for you. Try to be consistent. But if you start and you do not succeed, please try again. I did. It took me 6 attempts at starting to actually get some consistency. So 1, try to plan ahead and get consistent. And now, if you're following the Sparkle world, you should be doing 1 live every single week. That live can be your podcast episode. So there is nothing stopping you from coming up with content. Just get a few weeks ahead. And we use this piece of software called Libsyn to put all our podcast episodes on. If you have Kajabi, you can put them into Kajabi and start your podcast there. However, what I find is I was so invested in Libsyn. I'd had so many episodes that when Kajabi brought out podcasting, it was just too much of a headache to move software. And this is the other reason why I always talk about, right, choosing one piece of software so you don't have to move and relearn software. So I'm staying with Libsyn. It's totally worth it. And so 1, consistency. Choose that 1 day a week that you're going to drop that episode. And if you're consistently going live every week, you will have yourself content. Second tip, start close. Think about the people within your inner circle or friends, hey Anna, or friends of friends that you know that you would like to interview. So I started real easy with the people I'd already know who were friends. And then I expanded upon that and started to think about friends who knew friends, right? And I was able to get them to give me a warm introduction, which made things a little easier. So that's one way of getting guests. Second, just if you're starting out and you're struggling to find guests, go into some groups that your niche hang out in and ask. Anyone want to be on my podcast? I serve these types of people. If your content could help those people, let me know. And they'll raise their hands. Now, when you do it this way, you may end up with some people that aren't great guests. But hey, you'll also learn through doing what it's like to have not a good guest and how do you fill the dead air and how do you rephrase questions. So once you do that, then I suggest that you go further afield and start making a list of wish list guests. So when you have your big wish list guest list of the people that would be a dream to be on your podcast. Oh, and I forgot the other person, Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn. So James Wedmore, Pat Flynn, and Amy Porterfield, when I first started listening to podcasts, they were the first 3 people that I used to binge and fall asleep with in my ear. And so far, I've had Amy Porterfield and Pat Flynn on the podcast, and I've been on Pat Flynn's podcast as well. So, yeah, these wish list people, put them there. But then what you want to do is go support them. Show up for them. Not for you, because you want to help them and their community. And if you're consistent with supporting them, they will notice you. You don't need to knock on their door. You just need to come from a place of service, good karma, loving on those people. And then you'll end up like me. You'll have people who, Amy, Pat Flynn, the amazing Anna G, who is currently joining us on the live. Hey, Anna. And Doc Rock, Stephanie Liu, Louise Sandoval, Megan herself, like some really amazing guests. And then you'll have consistency. And all of the other things that you're doing, there is probably 3-minute little hot tips that you're live streaming all the time, like that you can pull out of longer episodes, or maybe you just do a quick reel with really great tips, turn them into quick tip episodes. And that's how we have been able to drop 3 podcast episodes every week this year. And well, we began with 1 a week, but now we are consistently dropping 3. Ma did tell me in the chat that they drop every, I'm just scrolling back, every Monday, Friday, and Sunday. There you go. And that will be in Australia. So for those that aren't in Australia, figure that out. You're in the past. So that's allowed us to do this consistently. And now we have a total of 130 episodes, 92 of which happened this year after 6 attempts, 5 failed attempts at starting the podcast. I never went out and rebranded. I never went and started any new. We just kept adding them to the end. So how cool is that? So if you're thinking of starting your own podcast, 1, get consistent and just find something that you can consistently make content from to repurpose to YouTube, to podcasts, which is a weekly live. 2, start with your inner circle. Ask the people you know, ex-work employees, clients, and then go to their connections. Just reach out to people on social as well, and then start that wish list of guests. Because once you get people within your niche that people know within your niche, like if I go and tell people that don't do what we do about Amy and Pat, they're like, who are these crazies, right? Oh, we don't know them. But within my niche, when you can say you've had people like those on your podcast, it makes it a little easier to ask. But it took me 2018 when I started. 2018. And now in 2022, we finally have this list of amazing guests. So your podcast is a long game. It is not something that you will get and grow overnight. It is not as huge in lead generation of new leads, but it is great when it comes to nurturing your leads, building relationships, potentially hiring people, right? Building relationships, and also to be able to nurture all of those followers that you have. And there is I really believe that podcasting is the most intimate form to get people to know, like, and trust you. They can listen to you privately while they're out on their walk, while they're falling asleep, which I have done many times with Pat and Amy in my ears. It's one of the most intimate ways to build a relationship with people. And if you're not podcasting, maybe you want to make that your mission for 2023. I'm still deciding on my go all in on one thing to learn for 2023. Still deciding. This year, 2022, has been the year of Ecamm, and I think I did okay. We're looking much better than we were like 2 years ago when we had Ecamm and we weren't using Ecamm. I still don't know how to build and share screen and do demos like the amazing Anna and Fulgence. I still need to figure that out so I can actually show people how to use it. Or you know what's even better? Just bring Doc Rock and Anna and Fulgence in. Get them to teach it. So the year of Ecamm has been 2023. So can I ask you, what are you now all starting to think about for your 2023? As 2022 is nearing an end, and today is my final podcast batching day for 2023, what has been one big thing? Let me know, DM me, drop in the live chat, wherever you are in the world. What is one thing that you really have focused in on this year and you're proud that you gave it that time and that effort? Now, if I hadn't chosen Ecamm, I would not have built a relationship with Katie, Anna Fulgence, Ecamm, the whole Ecamm fam. Feels like my fam, right? Okay. Mar is saying, no, this is not the last episode. We still have a lineup next week. Okay, she's squeezing a whole nother batching date in before we take break. I love that. Thank you, Mar. Okay, so apparently we have another batching day next week. There you go. Well, I'll be back in my office for next week and a better microphone. Okay, so what have you achieved in 2022? So Anna says for her this year, it is systems. This year was all about getting your systems right. So Anna, I remember being on one of your live streams and telling you I'm the automation and system nerd, and you're like, we should chat. I sent you a few messages. Then I went dark and we never really got around to that. I would love to sit with you more and get a little sneak peek at your systems and see if I can help you, because that's my jam. Automation is my jam. I geek out on that stuff. I dream about tags and squiggly lines. And I went all in on automation, not just for a year, but literally for the last 7 years. So that's why I guess my business is all about automation. Yes, I think you remember. Excellent, Anna. So what about everybody else out there? What's that thing this year that you have done that you're like, yeah, I went all in on that? Like for me, there was the year of good karma back in 2015. I got over, as a trained graphic designer, back then I was probably 15 years deep into graphic designing, and I'd kind of fallen out of love with being a designer, with all the Fivers coming on the scene and people going, I can get a logo for $50. And I'm like, yes, but it's not a real logo. It's probably been stolen from somewhere. So I started to get frustrated, and then I would do a really good design and a client would like mess it up. And I'm like, don't mess with perfection. So sometimes I was designing work that I didn't really enjoy. And after doing that for a really long time, I decided to do good karma for 12 months and not charge anybody for graphic design work, but ask them to donate to Heartfelt, a charity that is very near and dear to our heart. It's a company or a group of people who go into hospital and take photos of babies that will not have the opportunity to go home with their parents. And so I did that for 12 months and I won this huge award voted by many, many people, thousands of people screaming my name. And that was because I practiced a year of good karma. Another crazy year where I went all in. And when I go in, I usually go in pretty deep. I went in and I decided to go live for 365 days. We went from, the biggest thing from the back end of that one was that we went from 2,000 followers over on Facebook to 70,000 in the 12 months. So that was another really, when you go all in, like really go all in on learning one new thing and doing it well for a year, you'll be surprised at the outcome at the end of the year. Like Ecamm, I think when people see our podcast now, it is a way for people to see, wow, look how professional it is. I want to be on that podcast versus just somebody random who, hits their inbox with no content out there. It's definitely taken our branding to a whole nother level. I've stuck with the same branding all year. When I first tried Ecamm, we did a couple of basic little scenes, but I've just stuck with the branding all year. I haven't been changing it up. I don't have the time to change it up, but there's that consistency now across all of our live streams. And I've been able to make some amazing friends because of Ecamm. And it all started back when Vlogmas last year. I joined Vlogmas, which is now on this year, and I did some crazy cutaways using Canva and made Doc and Katie's and Unearned Fortress's heads jump around. But it's been a great year learning Ecamm, but I don't know what my next venture is. And that brings me to my little special thing I wanted to chat with you all about today. You see, every single year, I have brought my team together, and it used to be in a location and we'd go somewhere really nice together. And then COVID hit and we had to do it virtually for the last few years. This year, we're trying to fly as many people to Australia as possible. We have our fingers crossed that Joyce's visa is going to come through in time. But we bring our team together to write our Vision Traction Organizer for the next 12 months. And this is to ensure that the team is on the same page. Otherwise, if your team are all rowing in different directions, now this is a team of one solo entrepreneur with the vision of having a team, or a team of two or more. Because when you can get really clear on your vision, you will be able to not only move your business forward, but actually know which direction you're heading. You see, there are 8 major components when it comes to setting up your Vision Traction Organizer that need to be covered to ensure that your business is rowing and your clients and your people within the team are rowing in the same direction. So the things that need to be covered is 1, what are your core values? Now, I have my core values that I wrote for the Sparkle Class Academy. And we have the little branding card that has all our core values on it: synergy, good karma, oh my goodness, my brain's just gone pew, because I'm thinking ahead of the 8 things. So anyway, but the core values, that's for the larger organization, and that larger organizational core values allow us to make decisions on who to say yes to, who to say no to, what jobs to take on. But within the team, every year, our whole team rewrite our core values. And I have a strategy that I teach, and it's based on the Traction book. So our whole team do this together. The second thing, after we've all written our values, we come together and we also write our core focus for the year. We need to know, where's the goalpost? Where are we heading? What's our main driver for the year? It allows us to, again, choose what to say yes to, what to say no to, because you have to say no to things if you really want to get true traction. We're a 7-figure business because I have done this every year since 2017. Every year since 2017. It was just me the first time I did it. Once we do that, that's 1 and 2. The third thing is then setting your 10-year target. Now, it doesn't have to be 10-year. Some people might just want to do a 5-year target or, a 20-year target. But on average, most of the time, we always land at a 10-year target. So that's 3. The third thing to create true traction is a marketing strategy. What is that focused marketing strategy that you're going to do for the year to bring in new people? The fourth thing, that was the fourth thing. The fifth thing, is that the fourth thing? Yeah, the fifth thing, 3-year picture. Now we've got our values, our focus, and we know what our 10-year target and the marketing strategy around that. We then dial it in to what is the 3-year focus. And then from that, to get us to that 3-year part, what do we need to do this year? And then we write our 1-year plan. Once we have our 1-year plan, we can then plan what we're going to do every quarter. And we set what our sexy numbers are for the quarter. And those sexy numbers, everybody in our team has to have a sexy number, between 3 to 7 sexy numbers. And then also we sit down and we consider what are the issues that may come up that hold us back from our quarterly goals, our yearly goals, our 3-year picture, our 10-year target, may stop our marketing strategy. Now this I do with my team over 3 full days. I buy them lunch, I buy them dinner. We're getting quite a few, hopefully, here into Australia this year, and a few people will Zoom in. We'll put their heads on computers and make pretend bodies for each of them, which is what we've done in the past. Literally, everyone has a pretend body. So if you're somebody who would love to create your own vision traction organizer that actually gives you clear focus and learn the strategies in how I do this with my team. Yesterday, while taking my daughter to the airport, I was talking to Jackie about teaching this to you. So this morning, I created a wait list page in January after we do our retreat, our 3-day vision traction plan together. I'm going to come back into the community and do it with you. So if you would like to get clear on your core values and bring your team, because you all want to be on the same page, or your business partner, clear on the 8 simple questions that will create traction in your business. 1, core values. 2, your core focus. 3, your 10-year target, or somewhere around there, depends where you want to fall. 4, your marketing strategy. 5, your 3-year picture. Your 1-year plan, your quarterly sexy numbers, and finally, identify those issues so that you can try to overcome them as you go. So go to Sparkle Class Academy. I do believe I made a scene. Yes. Go to sparkleclassacademy.com/waitlist. I've just literally built the page to collect your information so I know who is interested. It will be a paid event. You will walk away with a document that you will do on repeat every single year to be able to do what we do, grow a 7-figure scalable business with an amazing team who are all on the same page, all rowing in the same direction. Keep your ear out. Once you're on the waiting list, I will have an early bird price. I promise it's going to be less than $1,000 for the 3 days. I just haven't set anything up. I don't know what it's going to be yet. And I'm also going to line up some other experts to come in, so to teach you some other awesome things. We'll do some mindfulness maybe along the way because we're a bit woohoo around here. So if you're interested to get on the wait list, just go register today. I will make sure that we let you know as soon as I work out some dates for January. But if you want to really get clear on these 8 questions, then get registered. Let us help you start rowing in the same direction. And I want to also let our Freedom Funnel Academy students know, guess what? You are VIPs, baby. This is for you as well. You all have to, as clients, do this, and it will end up inside the program for you. So make sure you're ready to have the best year yet by get registered for this. I can't wait to hang out with you. But it is podcast batching day. So we still have a few amazing guests lined up for you. Coming up next, we have Anna, who will be joining us in she'll be coming in a little earlier, but in 60 minutes from now, we will have Anna coming in on how to maximize your podcast content. And then the amazing Paul Kim, who I met through, I believe, MIA or eCamFam. I don't know, because, some great connections there. I can't wait to talk SEO because we have a few clients who are really into SEO inside our community as well, and to hear his advice. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on get notified for the upcoming episodes that are already scheduled to go live today. I cannot wait to hang out with you. But until 60 minutes from now, never let anyone dull your sparkle. Make sure you're constantly getting income producing activities done and get on the wait list for the Vision Traction Organizer 3-day live event, which will be virtual, of course, because that's how I roll, baby. Go to sparkleclassacademy.com/waitlist. I'll see you in 60 minutes, guys.